let me tell you what has been happening with fuel in Kenya. Because if you drive a car in Kenya, if you drive a matatu, if you operate a boda boda, if you own a truck, this affects you directly, and most people, they don't understand how deep this goes. Between January and March 2026 alone, EPRA, the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority, it conducted 2,713 fuel quality tests across 758 petrol stations across Kenya. 5 stations failed, and these are not rumors. 28th January 2026, Asis Energy Filling Station, it's in Kapkayo, Elgeyo Marakwet. Petrol and diesel was adulterated with kerosene. It had high sulfur levels. The station paid 101,638 in penalties and was allowed to reopen. On 4th February 2026, there was an illegal fuel site in Habaswein in Wajir. Diesel had high sulfur. Fuel was impounded and the case is in court. On 18th February 2026, another illegal site in Matuga was flagged, that is in Kwale. This one was selling diesel that was meant for export. You know, fuel that carries different tax rates and is not supposed to enter the local market. And they were selling it to the public. The fuel was impounded and the case is in court. On 13th March 2026, Greenwells Energies in Kisumu CBD, it was flagged. Kerosene meant for export, it was being sold locally. They paid 435,100 shillings and they reopened. On 27th March 2026, Plateau Filling Station in Murungaru in Nyandarua, it was also flagged. Diesel was mixed with kerosene. The station was just closed. Now let's go back to October to December 2025. EPRA tested fuel at 967 sites across the country, carrying out over 4,000 tests. 10 sites failed. Meridian Fuels Filling Station in Gata, Nakuru, it had diesel adulterated with kerosene. They paid taxes and penalties of 140,144 shillings before they were allowed to reopen. There was also a Kwabi filling station in Bukura, Kakamega. Same thing, adulterated diesel. That station remains closed to this day. Then Eden Energy Service Station in Wote, Makueni, it was selling diesel meant for export in the local market. They paid 132,780 shillings and they reopened. Then also, trucks were impounded in Mombasa and Taita Taveta for transporting adulterated and export-bound fuel. Court proceedings are still ongoing. And in Moyale, Marsabit, inspectors found high sulfur diesel stored in jerrycans at a Kenya Revenue Authority yard. They suspect smuggling. There were 4 separate sites and all were impounded. Let's go back further to July to September 2025. 10 more stations shut down. Some of them repeat offenders. Now let me explain what adulterated fuel actually is. Because you know the word gets thrown around a lot without people understanding what it means for your car. The most common type of adulteration in Kenya is mixing diesel or petrol with kerosene. And why kerosene? Because kerosene is cheaper. A station that mixes kerosene into its diesel, it's essentially selling you a diluted product at full price while pocketing the difference. It sounds like a business decision, but it's actually a crime and it destroys engines. Experts warn that adulterated fuel can severely damage vehicle engines, affecting fuel injectors, pistons, and catalytic converters, ultimately leading to costly repairs, reduced performance, and potential engine failure. This is why you hear drivers talk about the engine knocking within hours of fueling, loss of power on acceleration, fuel finishing faster than normal, check engine light coming on the same day, and injectors failing. Mechanics usually trace the problem back to fuel quality. Then there's the export fuel problem. And this one, it's a completely different kind of fraud. Export fuel is taxed differently from domestic fuel. It's meant to leave Kenya. When a dealer takes that fuel and sells it at your local station, they're giving you a product that did not go through the same quality checks, while also evading taxes. You pay the same price, you get an inferior product, and the government loses revenue. Beyond engine damage, adulterated fuel also increases the risk of fires and emergency mishaps due to inconsistent combustion, and it contributes to higher emissions of harmful gases. So it's not just your car, it's your safety. And it hits ordinary Kenyans where it hurts most. From the boda boda rider paying for costly repairs to the taxpayer footing the bill for lost public revenue. Now let me tell you about this year because it goes higher than a petrol station. Everything I've told you so far is about individual stations getting caught at the retail level. But in April 2026, something happened that showed that the problem does not just exist at the bottom of the supply chain. It goes all the way to the top. The Petroleum Principal Secretary, Mohamed Liban, the Kenya Pipeline Company Managing Director, Joe Sang, and the EPRA Director General, Daniel Kipto, all 3 resigned on the same weekend as investigators questioned them over what the government described as a scheme to import substandard, overpriced fuel outside the established government-to-government supply network. Let me break down to you what they're accused of doing. Preliminary findings, they indicate that the officials, they are suspected of falsifying in-country fuel stock levels, essentially manipulating data to create panic and a false impression of an impending fuel shortage. Then, using that manufactured crisis as justification, they allegedly arranged the emergency import of a fuel shipment outside the normal procurement process. The cargo, aboard a vessel called the MT Paloma, it allegedly carried fuel with sulfur at 43 milligrams per kilogram. That's against the legal limit of 10 milligram per kilogram. The benzene and manganese levels, they're also outside specification. One of the shipments was sold at $290 per ton, more than 3 times the $84 per ton under the normal government-to-government arrangement. That's a 4.8 billion shilling consignment. It's substandard, overpriced, and allegedly engineered to slip into the national pipeline while the country was distracted by the Middle East conflict. And then, just days ago, on 30th April 2026, the Trade Cabinet Secretary issued a press release announcing a temporary adjustment of fuel standards. The sulfur ceiling for petrol and diesel sold in Kenya has been raised to 50 milligrams per kilogram. That's 5 times the previous limit of 10 milligrams per kilogram. The cargo that triggered arrests and resignations, it had sulfur at 43 milligrams per kilogram. The new temporary standard allows up to 50. In other words, the fuel that was illegal 3 weeks ago would now be legal under today's rule. Replacing a DPF, the diesel particulate filter, on a typical diesel SUV, it costs a lot of money in parts alone. I read 200,000 shillings. Catalytic converters, they're not much cheaper. Oxygen sensors fail faster, and engine oil thins out as sulfur products contaminate it. Ordinary Kenyans are dealing with the consequences at street level. You may have seen a video circulating online. A woman named Grace Yuge from Mombasa, who fueled at a petrol station in Naivasha. She alleged that the attendants, they sold her fuel that was mixed with water. That caused serious damage to her car. When she went back to confront them, they denied everything. She brought the fuel that they had drained from her car as evidence. The supervisor was gone to lunch, and she was left to pay the garage bills herself. That story, it's not unique. The comments under that video, they're full of people saying, this happened to me too. Same, me too. Different stations, different counties, same results. Repair bills, no accountability, nowhere to go. Now this is what connects every single story that I've told you. EPRA is doing its job. They're testing, shutting stations, impounding trucks, and arresting officials. They even have a hotline, 0709 366 000, a USSD code *363#, and an SMS line at 40850 for you to report suspicious fuel. That infrastructure exists, but here is the gap. You fuel today, your car develops a problem tomorrow. You go to EPRA, and the very first thing they'll ask you is, do you have proof of where and when you fueled? If you walked away without a proper receipt, not just a handwritten scribble, a verified digitally recorded transaction, if you don't have that, your case stops there. The station stays open and you pay the mechanic. And that same fuel, it goes to the next car, and the next, and the next. Now for everyone who has been complaining, it's not that they didn't have receipts. What they did not have was an eTIMS receipt. The kind that is recorded directly with KRA in real time. Without that digital ink, tracing the fuel back through the supply chain, it becomes almost impossible. The gap is not enforcement, the gap is traceability. And without traceability, accountability is just a foreign word. In the next video, I'm going to be showing you guys how that gap is being closed. We're going to be talking about what eTIMS is and why it matters more right now than ever before, and what both drivers and station owners need to do about it today. This is just Catalina, and I'll see you guys in the next video where we talk about the eTIMS, that is the Electronic Tax Invoice Management System. That one was created and it's run by KRA itself. Yes, I'll see you guys in the next video.